Domain 2, instructional leadership, guiding curriculum and instruction. Instructional leadership means the things a principal does that directly promote student learning. High expectations for teachers and students, supporting the PD of teachers, strong vision for quality curriculum and instruction, recruitment, engagement of all stakeholders, giving constructive feedback, give praise, model what works, and ask for input. This rarely occurs 1/10 of the day. Domain 2, instructional leadership, culture of learning. Characteristics: high expectations for students and teachers, honors the learning process, treats students and teachers with admiration or respect, makes learning safe and fun, celebrates the accomplishments of all. It's important to embrace and internalize schools' culture and norms, but crucial to retain individuality and express different perspectives. To create a culture of learning, you must create a supportive atmosphere, good communication among stakeholders, inclusive environments that provide differentiated instruction, focus on solutions, and provide a sense of community. Culture is how business is done, and it's attached to behaviors or actions. Domain 2, instructional leadership, supporting learning for all students. Positive school culture and climate is marked by reasonable expectations for behavior, developmentally appropriate, consistent and fair application of rules and regulations, caring, responsive relationships among adults and students, warm, inviting classrooms, teachers as warm demanders, high academic standards with sufficient supports, rigor, relevance, relationships. Safe and personalized learning environments tend to communicate high expectations, provide time and opportunity for students to achieve, attend to students' interests, problems, and other accomplishments, communicate caring and build rapport with students, use culturally responsive pedagogy, and effort-based ability, work hard, get results. Students are kept in mind while planning. Effective classroom management strategies, teaching and reinforcing positive behaviors and skills, appropriate physical layouts, specific, clear classroom routines and procedures, and consistent standards across the school. Administrators can select curriculum that is fun and relevant to students and take an interest in each student's success and give them high expectations. Proactive systems of behavioral support, violence prevention curriculum, positive behavior supports and social skills training, early intervention, in-school suspension, adult mentors, and teacher support teams or SST interventions. Domain 2, instructional leadership, factors that affect teaching and learning. Instructional strategies that improve student achievement. 1. Comparing and contrasting, classifying, analogies, metaphors, that applying of knowledge, DOK level 4. Summarizing and note-taking, writing it in your own words. 3. Reinforcing effort and providing recognition. 4. Homework and practice, that's safe practice piece. 5. Non-linguistic representation, multiple modalities for showing mastery. Cooperative learning, so communication and collaboration amongst learners, think, pair, share, etc. Setting objectives and providing feedback, so students know how close they are to the learning objective. Generating and testing hypotheses, questions, cues, and advanced organizers. Domain 2, instructional leadership, teacher effectiveness, and student learning. Teaching makes a difference. Teaching can be improved by understanding and using frameworks of attributes and behaviors of effective teachers, dimensions and principles of learning, standards for authentic pedagogy, instructional strategies and structures, culturally responsive teaching and cultural competency. And these should all be included in an evaluation form. Effective teachers provide feedback, have clear expectations, scaffold, change to apply in varied and rewarding ways so students can apply their knowledge. Good pacing to avoid overwhelming the student. They evaluate regularly and engage prior knowledge, know, want to know, learned. Effective learning groups to differentiate instruction. They communicate effectively and efficiently with parents and supports. They're not harsh or overcritical of student learning. And they give authentic, specific praise to engage students in their own learning. Domain 2, instructional leadership. Ongoing feedback and evaluation. The clinical supervision process has 4 stages. 1, teacher and principal hold a pre-observation conference to set goals, what is going to be evaluated. 2, the principal observes the lesson. 3, the individual being observed reflects with notes to discuss. And 4, the post-observation conference where a shared plan for continued growth is created. Some guidelines for supervisor success: familiarize teachers with the process. Ensure your goal is to support them, not a gotcha. Ask questions, get to know the teachers. Don't dominate the discussion. Informally visit frequently so teachers and students are comfortable. During conferences, analyze student work. Model best practices and team teach on occasion. An evaluation conference should be held in the location of teacher's choice. Domain 2, instructional leadership, California content standards. Standard-based education guides content and curriculum development. The standards provide detailed expectations about what a student should know and be able to do and what's grade level appropriate. As of 1997, content standards existed for ELA, math, history, social studies, science, visual and performing arts, health, world language, PE, school library, career education, and English language development. The Common Core State Standards, CCSS, now have math and ELA, but then they have content area literacy for K-12 students. They focus on higher order critical thinking skills. They integrate problem-solving skills and 21st century skills. Domain 2, instructional leadership, access to challenging curricula. Students with disabilities and the idea. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act of 1997 says that 1, students should have access to general curriculum, be involved in the general curriculum, and progress in the general curriculum. Prior to this act, those students were educated separately, and this worked towards integrating them. An IEP for those students, individual education plan, must have goals for how the child will be involved in general education, required supplementary aids, services, accommodations, modifications, or supports that will be provided. And if not in general education classrooms, they must explain why, kind of defend that they're in the least restrictive environment. Detail how progress towards the goals is going to be measured. State education agencies must also create benchmarks for students with disabilities. Disabled students must participate in state and district-wide assessments and be provided appropriate accommodations delineated on the IEP. Gifted and talented students, gate and tag, high achievement capacity. The ESSA Every Student Succeeds Act identify these students as intellectual, creative, artistic, with leadership qualities. Gifted education programs provide differentiated or supplemental instruction activities addressing characteristics of the group. Jacob K. Javits Gifted and Talented Students Education Act is part of the ESSA 2015. It funded grants to schools and districts for gifted programs and provided leadership and sponsoring a national research center for those students. Domain 2, instructional leadership, rigorous and relevant curricula. Service learning. Service learning allows students to make a positive difference in their community through community service-oriented learning experiences. Academic knowledge, work ethic, generosity, collaboration, civic responsibility. Also, career academies are personalized learning communities that are career focused, like a health academy, and they last 2, 3, or 4 years, and the students must apply and be accepted. Domain 2, instructional leadership, systems thinking. This emphasizes synthesis, attempts to find connections between various subjects and explore interdependencies, the forest, the trees. Characteristics, integrating all portions, science, math, story, history, more natural to be integrated, especially for young learners. The student plays a role as a learner using resources. Domain 2, instructional leadership, organizational structure, and learning. Components of organizational structure, the master schedule, deployment of educational personnel, grouping strategies such as departments and cohorts of students. How can the available space, time, and people be utilized to achieve the school's core goals? The impact of organizational structure on learning. Block scheduling can encourage teachers to vary their pedagogy and keep students engaged. Small schools yield better results than large ones. Subunits for close-knit teaching teams, like magnets. Being too small hinders range of experience. Those are some barriers of the organizational structure. Domain 2, instructional leadership, best practice planning, strategic planning, district goals to achieve desired results may vary in different areas. So they suggest backward planning, identifying the content that needs to be mastered first, then moving backwards to create assessments and activities to support student learning. Performance-based planning, based on benchmarks. Disaggregating school and district data to assess needs and help design future lessons. And then unit planning, developing activities, lessons, and assessments for certain identified content. Domain 2, instructional leadership, removing barriers to learning. Some barriers to academic achievement include student attitudes and beliefs, teachers' expectations and beliefs, family issues, and the school culture or lack of attendance. The leadership role is to create a diverse, inclusive program to encourage growth and empower each individual. Mental health services, U.S. Surgeon General states that 1 in 5 children and adolescents experience significant mental health problem. Take a wide variety of forms, so they can negatively impact learning and behavior. Young people need an effective system to thrive. Schools are ideal settings to offer services since students spend most of their time at school. Common barriers to learning, family problems, community violence, physical and mental health issues, social pressures, bullying, etc. Specialized Instructional Support Personnel, SISP. That was in the Every Student Succeeds Act. It's also known as Pupil Services Personnel in NCLB and Related Services Personnel in IDEA. Prevention and Intervention Services, Positive Environments, and Effective Learners. These are personnel like counselors, nurses, psychologists, social workers, occupational therapists, art therapists, dancer movement therapists, speech or language pathologists, audiologists, etc. So, importance of school attendance. Poor attendance is a precursor to truancy, delinquency, or dropping out. Barriers to attendance include health and mental health barriers, like the child is abused or neglected, drug and alcohol use or abuse, childhood depression, asthma or chronic illness, poor nutrition, dental vision or hearing problems, lack of immunizations, some financial barriers, insufficient food, proper clothes not available, homelessness, parent unemployment, social services, the student works and can't come to school, family barriers, the child is kept at home by the parent, the family history of dropouts, lack of adult supervision, the parent is addicted, insufficient parent support, Personal barriers, peer pressure, rejection or failure, embarrassment, belief that the teacher doesn't like them, low self-esteem, they're meeting with friends outside of school. Community and culture barriers, lack of safety and community, insufficient use of agencies, bullying or cultural differences, language barriers, school-based barriers, teacher conflict, inadequate transportation, fear of bullying or cyberbullying, and it's too challenging or too easy. All right, that was domain 2, instructional leadership.